Former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir Farooq Abdullah storms off interview with Times Now's group editor Navika Kumar. He even descended to name calling when asked about the exodus of Kashmiri Hindus during his tenure as the Chief Minister. Listen into the interview first.
जो कश्मीरी हिंदू हैं उन्हें कश्मीर से निकाल दिया गया और 32 साल से वो इंतजार कर रहे हैं इंसाफ का जो उन्हें आज तक कभी मिला ही नहीं। इसलिए कश्मीरी हिंदूज की अगर बात होती है तो ये नहीं होता कि हम बाकियों की बात नहीं कर रहे, हम ये कह रहे हैं कि इनकी आहें, इनके रोने की सिसकियां किसी के कानों तक क्यों नहीं पहुंचती हैं?
मैं नहीं जानता, ये आप दिल्ली की हुकूमत से पूछिए।
आपका कुछ लेना देना नहीं है। मैं पूछना इसलिए चाहती हूं क्योंकि जब भी कश्मीर की
कोर्ट ने आप इसका फैसला किया है, आप क्यों बार बार इसको रिपीट कर रही हैं? कोर्ट ने फैसला कर दिया कि वो सुनना चाहते हैं,
लेकिन कोर्ट
अब उनका फैसला सुनिए, ट्रायल चलने दीजिए।
कोर्ट का तो फैसला कई चीजों पर
हम तो
होना
पहले से
चाहिए।
कहते हैं कि इन बेचारों को वापस लाइए, घर लाइए इनको। कौन कहता नहीं लाइए? हम तो हर वक्त ये कहते हैं।
पर ये निकले तो आपके समय थे फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब, आप रोक लेते।
हुजूर, कौन निकालने वाला था? कभी ये सोचते हैं आप? क्या मैंने बंदूक उठाई? क्या हमने बंदूक उठाई? कौन थे जिनने ये किया? उन पे उंगली क्यों नहीं उठाते आप?
तो
जो पार से आए,
जो बाहर
एथनिक क्लींजिंग चाहते थे।
पर जो बाहर से आए, जो एथनिक क्लेंसिंग चाहते थे, उनसे तो आप कहते हैं हमेशा के बातचीत करते रहिए। आप ये तो कभी नहीं कहते कि इन्होंने मारा है कश्मीरियों को, हिंदुओं को, मुसलमानों को।
आपको मुसीबत ये है that your mind is one set mind. It is not only I saying that वो बात करें। अभी आपने वो इंटरव्यू सुना वायर पे, जो एक्स हमारे सबरवाल जो वहां पे हाई कमिश्नर थे, उनने इंटरव्यू दिया। वो इंटरव्यू पढ़िए और उसके बाद देखिए वो क्या कहते हैं।
मैं बात करना चाहती हूं फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब, आप कहते हैं कि जो ये एग्जोडस
फारूक अब्दुल्ला से ऐसी बात मत करिए मेहरबानी करके। मैं इंटरव्यू बंद कर दूंगा अगर आप ऐसी बात करती रहेंगी।
क्यों? 1989 की जो किलिंग
आप जख्मों को उखाड़ रही हैं, आप जख्मों को उखाड़ रही हैं।
जिनके जख्म रिस रहे हैं 32 सालों से, उनके जख्मों का क्या?
हम सबके जख्म, हर कश्मीरी का जख्म। वो हिंदू हमारे भाई थे, कोई हमारे दुश्मन नहीं थे। हम उनके साथ पले हैं, पोसे हैं, जिए हैं, बैठे हैं, मरे और जिए हैं उनके साथ।
मरे और जिए हैं अगर, तो मुझे ये बताइए, इतिहास आपसे पूछता है कि जब 3 हिंदू, टीकालाल टपलू, जस्टिस नीलाकांत गंजू, जब जर्नलिस्ट प्रेमनाथ भट्ट को शूट कर दिया था, और ये सितंबर 1989, अक्टूबर 1989, दिसंबर 1989 जब आप मुख्यमंत्री थे, तो आपने क्या? My interview is for asking about
Please,
Kashmir.
I'm not ready to give her interview. She is totally
तो आप
one-sided BJP person.
मैं बीजेपी की हूं और कश्मीरी हिंदू किसके हैं? आपके नहीं है, आपके नहीं है फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब। फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब कश्मीर पे सवालों के जवाब नहीं देना चाहते, कश्मीरी हिंदुओं के सवालों के जवाब देना ही नहीं चाहते। मैं क्या कर सकती हूं? बड़ी कोशिश की कि कुछ जवाब मिल जाएं, some answers at least, but no, 3 questions, not even 3, maybe 1.5 question on Kashmiri Hindus and what happened to them. क्या हुआ था उनके साथ 1990 और 1989 में, और फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब उठकर चले गए। बस यही है फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग कश्मीर के मुद्दे पर, कश्मीरी हिंदुओं के मुद्दे पर। फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग विद फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब कश्मीर पर। कहते हैं कश्मीरी हिंदू हमारे हैं, सब हमारे हैं, लेकिन उनके रोते हुए सिसकते हुए आंसुओं को एक बार भी जवाब देने के लिए तैयार नहीं है फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब। गुस्सा आता है उन्हें, उनका क्या जो 32 सालों से इंसाफ ढूंढ रहे हैं, उनके आंसुओं का, उनके गुस्से का अंदाज़ा है किसी को? मैं छोड़ती हूँ ये आज पब्लिक और व्यूअर्स के ऊपर कि वो तय करें क्यों फारूक अब्दुल्ला साहब उठकर चले गए।
Let's open this up. Dr. Syed Zafar Islam continues to be with us. He is the national spokesperson of the BJP. We're also joined by activist Sushil Pandit. We have Majid Hyderi, political analyst, and Ahmed Ayaz, a lawyer on the broadcast. Majid Hyderi, why shouldn't one ask these questions to Farooq Abdullah? He says, don't talk to me about these issues. And if you ask him about what happened when he was the chief minister, the genocide and exodus, you become a person with a one-sided mindset?
Well, Swati Sahiba, the bitter reality, I would say, is that the Pandits could never get justice, and I feel that pain right here in my heart. But let me remind you that Dr. Farooq is perhaps the only politician in the country who sacrificed his power, his chair, his chief ministership, only because he couldn't tolerate the killing of Kashmiri Pandits. He preferred a self-exile for half a decade. But he didn't compromise with the security and safety of the people, especially Kashmiri Pandits. Now, instead of appreciating that,
then how were so many Kashmiri Pandits killed and driven out of the valley?
No,
how were they driven out of the valley? How were they butchered?
No, it didn't happen when Dr. Farooq Sahab was in power.
If everything was done by the then chief minister in his power to provide security, then how were they butchered is the question.
No, the question is that till the time he was in power, he ensured, if he failed, he sacrificed his chair. But what did BJP do for the last 3 years when Kashmiri Pandits are getting killed? At least Dr. Farooq had that responsibility, that morality in himself, that he resigned from the chair.
Okay,
but
so resigning was enough.
So
resigning was enough. And I want to bring in Sushil Pandit because Farooq Abdullah said, "Zakhmon ko mat kure diye." Kabhi bhare aapke zakhm? Were you really ever able to heal? And if Mr. Farooq Abdullah did everything in his power, like I said, to protect the Kashmiri Hindus in the valley, how did the genocide take place? Sushil Pandit, he's saying blame the outsiders, blame those who wanted ethnic cleansing. Who are these people who wanted ethnic cleansing?
Swati, this is adding insult to injury. Even Farooq Abdullah himself has never claimed that he went into exile in sympathy with our exile for 5 years. Even Farooq Abdullah has never said that he resigned because we were being killed right, left, and center. He said that I was resigning because Jagmohan was appointed as governor without my consent and willingness. That was his reason. So today we prevaricate 32 and a half years later, all kinds of lies and alibis are being invented in order to justify a genocide. And Farooq Abdullah should be the first person to be tried because he allowed this. He was complicit in this genocide under his watch. He released more than 80 dreaded terrorists handed over by the army to police because army doesn't have the power to prosecute or arrest. Army can only intercept and then hand over to the local police in order to prosecute. To get them to face the consequences of their crimes. None of them was arrested and prosecuted. All of them, most of them, dreaded terrorists caught crossing the LOC were released. And these terrorists unleashed a wave of terror, targeting individual killings. Another lie which is often repeated is that this didn't happen under his rule. September 1989, it was under his rule that Tikalal Taplu was killed. 31st of July and 1st of August intervening night when Central Telegraph Office was bombed, Srinagar Club outside Doordarshan was bombed, it was under his rule. When DIG Watali's house was shot at on 18 September 1988, it was under his rule. Curfew was imposed. I was there in Kashmir. And when Neelkanth Ganju was shot dead, it was under his rule.
Mr. Majid Hyderi, don't interrupt. Please.
When Justice Neelkant Ganju was shot dead at Hari Singh High Street, right in the heart of Srinagar, it was under his rule. And I have it from the bureaucrat who was sitting in with him when he was told that Justice Ganju has been shot dead. He was unmoved, as if he already knew, as if he was waiting for the confirmation. So this man is soaked in our blood. He will run away at every given opportunity because he doesn't want to face the truth.
And he continues to do that. You know how very convenient to say, don't ask Farooq Abdullah about these issues. Go ask the center, go ask the BJP.
He became Chief Minister again in 96. He became Chief Minister in 96 again in 2002.
Right.
His son became Minister in 2008 till 2014. Not a single case was prosecuted. Not a single murder, not a single massacre, not a single abduction or rape was prosecuted. There hasn't been any person found guilty till date. Who bears the responsibility for that?
That is the most important question, Ahmed Ayaz. You know, what really was being provided? Protection to the victims or patronage to the murderers?
Basic thing is Farooq Abdullah is a very nice and very good. He may not be a good politician with a patient officer. Not to hear the pressures like journalist and anchor like Navika. You will have to understand that he has been all the way telling that when the militancy began in Kashmir, he has been telling the government that he alerted them about this, what's happening. This is what he has been telling in most of his interview. That I briefed them. I told them that he needs for help because I was limited with only JK police not handle it. And this is what he has been telling me at the time, that we want help from the government and wanted them to come in and to see that how best we can come back. And the government perhaps did not help him that time. So when such questions are asked him now, perhaps he feels agitated and irritated by this case, knowingly that I had...
imagine the irritation and frustration. Imagine, Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, the irritation and frustration of those who for years together, have been wanting to go back to Kashmir, to their houses in a safe environment, have been wanting and fighting a long, long battle. Imagine their frustration and irritation.
That's okay. That's okay. Now that
that's not okay. You are more concerned about the frustration and irritation of Farooq Abdullah, but you think the frustration of the victims is okay. Their frustration, irritation. No, their frustration and irritation is okay. But Farooq Abdullah's irritation and frustration matters because time and again you've been asking these questions to him.
They are justified. If they feel upset about and feel worried and cry about, they are justified. Nobody says
that's the easiest way out. That's the easiest way out, Majid Hyderi, to now say that we also want our Kashmiri brothers, Hindu brothers, to come back to the valley. One second. That is the easiest way out, to say that he's frustrated, he's irritated because these questions are being asked to him time and again. That is the easy way out to, just vent it against individuals asking the questions. And if he really was that bothered and concerned, Majid Hyderi, how did the exodus happen? He was the chief minister of the valley, of the state.
Swati Saiba, firstly, Dr. Farooq Saab's wounds were given a new cut today by the Times Now interview. It was a kind of an atrociously done, psychologically atrocious interview for him to face the past, the tragic past of what he had to face. See, the facts are sacred. Dr. Farooq resigned on January 18, 1990. And the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits took place after that. So how can you blame Dr. Farooq for something which didn't happen when he was in power? He was into self-exile.
When were the seeds of that sown? When were the seeds of that sown? And Majid Hyderi, you're saying that he faced a lot. You're saying that he went through a lot. What about the Kashmiri Hindus?
At least Dr. Farooq showed the morality to resign. In the last 3 years,
Sushil Pandit just countered you on that.
Sushil Pandit just countered you on that. I salute Dr. Farooq Saab for his morality.
Sushil Pandit has just countered you on that point. That the resignation was never because of because of what happened to the Kashmiri Hindus. It was.
Look at the heart of Dr. Farooq. His heart was lying on the interview. You should not have carried his interview on air. Why did you carry this interview on air when he had left the interview?
Okay, so you are now planning to curtail our rights as well. You want to curtail our rights as well. You want to take those decisions on our behalf. Who should we interview? Who should we not interview? What kind of questions should we ask? Whether we should air the interview or not? Mr. Majid Hyderi.
You know that he will get provoked in getting.
So you should.
Do you realize while saying that? Do you even realize the pain of the Kashmiri Hindus?
No. Do you realize the pain of Dr. Farooq Abdullah?
Wow.
He too comes from the same Kashmir where his party people were killed.
Okay, you think that it is the same. You think that it is the same. The pain of a Kashmiri Hindu family having lost their nearest and dearest ones in the genocide, having lost everything in Kashmir, and till date not in fact feeling safe enough to go back. Their pain is equal to the pain of Mr. Farooq Abdullah, who got to take charge twice and continues to live a very comfortable life in that very valley. Mr. Islam, come in.
Dr. Farooq has the right to feel wounded.
Can I, Mr. Mr. Hyderi, I'm just a patient, please, I was listening to everyone. See, if it is Farooq Abdullah, if one person who really need to respond to those pointed questions, it is Farooq Abdullah. He was the chief minister, he was the power, he was the man who should have controlled. He failed miserably. And today he wants to run away from these questions. Of course, question will be asked. Who else they will ask the question? Who else? The pointed question will be asked to him because he is the one who should have done something at that point in time, but he failed. Today he is getting irritated.
But Zafar Islam, Zafar Islam, even the BJP can be counted today. Fingers are being pointed at your government, at the center and the administration in the union territory. People like Sushil Pandit and other Kashmiri activists, expressed their concern over the manner in which Kashmiri Hindus are still being targeted in the valley. Is this a rerun of the genocide?
Let me tell you, Swati, I will never claim, and nobody from the BJP is ever claiming that we have been able to restore complete normalcy in the valley. But of course, we have moved the needle. The situation has improved substantially. Today, people are feeling comfortable. You should not take one or two or three incidents and paint every situation, everything like what.
But these are not one or two incidents. Yes. These are not just one or two incidents. Members of your party also have been targeted and killed because of their religious identity. Sushil Pandit, in this particular matter, I think we should go across to Sushil Pandit, because Sushil Pandit has responded to the comments that you made about normalcy being restored to an extent and things going back to normal to an extent. Sushil Pandit, I wanted to respond to what Mr. Zafar Islam said, and also to the fact that your pain is equal to Farooq Abdullah's pain. He also has faced a lot in the past, according to Majid Hyderi.
Swati ji, it is painful to respond to claims such as our pain of 500,000 Hindus, most of whom have survivors of a genocide, and victims who have lost their near and dear ones, to even begin to explain how it cannot be equal to anybody, anything. It is unique in itself, and it can't be expressed in words, it has to be felt. So I'll leave it at that, because this is completely heartless of anyone to even attempt there. Number two, about the situation being normal, I can only give you one fact. Those who did not leave 32 years ago, some handful of 400 families, out of 75,000 families who left, even they have decided to pack their bags and leave. Kashmiri Pandit Sangharsh Samiti leader Sanjay Tikku, who stayed put in the valley, braved the blood and gore that continued. Even he has appealed that the local society, their neighbors, have turned hostile. They are the ones who are pointing us out to the killers. And the administration is apathetic. So Even they have packed their bags. What is that the measure of? Normalcy? Even 400 workers of BJP in the valley do not sleep in their homes. They are kept in safe houses because they are not safe in their homes. Is that a measure of normalcy? Anybody working in office, shop, walking in the streets, sitting at home doesn't feel safe because they are routinely picked up, killed, targeted. Is that a measure of normalcy? In winning hearts and minds of jihad, if you are able to stage some events, I would call them event management. You create a semblance of, an appearance of security which lures some innocent into the valley and then they get shot. Would you call it normalcy? Just having a procession on Janmashtami from Lal Chowk or raising tirangas on few shikaras and making their clips, video clips viral across the country to lull people into believing that Kashmir is normal. Is that honesty?
I think Zafar Islam, you should respond to that. Zafar
Hand on
Islam.
heart, Mr. Islam, will you go to Kashmir?
Let me
and
respond
roam
to
around
that.
without security? When sarpanches,
Sushilji,
elected
Sushilji.
corporators, former MLAs
Sushilji.
and ministers, politicians are unable to move around. Would you
Respond.
call it normalcy?
Is it
No,
normalcy?
let me respond to Mr. Sushil Panditji. I think the observation he made, partly it is correct, partly it is not. Especially when I'm talking about in certain context and reference. When you are talking about complete normalcy and when I'm telling you that the needle has moved, when it was stuck, there was absolutely no headroom available for people to move around in valley. Today, and because stone pelting everywhere, that there was unrest all over in the valley. Today's situation has moved favorably. The situation is improving, and I'm conceding that not to the extent that what everyone would aspire to.
Also, Zafar Islam, the situation has not even considerably in that case improved for Hindus, for Kashmiri Hindus who are still being targeted.
Let me just complete the Swati. All I'm saying that everybody would want to see a situation where everybody is comfortable, that everybody feels safe and secure. And that is where we are moving. Situation
Even the outsiders are being targeted, Zafar Islam, irrespective of whether they are Kashmiris or not. If they are Hindus, if they are from other states, they are being targeted. They are being targeted, they are being killed. That is the situation. Those are the facts. One cannot run away from those facts. Ahmed has wanted to come in. I have very little time left.
Let me just 10 seconds more.
Okay, 10 seconds.
All I'm saying that from very worst situation has improved dramatically.
Okay.
But it cannot, and overnight, it cannot be a situation where everybody feel that it's the complete normalcy.
But it's been quite some time. We understand nothing changes overnight, but it's been quite some time. Ahmed Ayaz, 10 seconds to you as well.
Yeah, I do agree partly with Sushil Pandit that it cannot be a major normalcy that you make a black show of making up streets of the Lal Chowk power. Yes, that cannot said to be the normalcy. The normalcy would be that everyone should be safe to live in. The Kashmir, even locals, otherwise also. So security people are found everywhere, even police, army personnel manning the traffic on the roads, and everywhere in every weekend, all the security people and bankers have now been picked up in large numbers. But to call it a normalcy, I don't think Zafar Islam should very reasonably agree. Yes, it is not that, it has a person.
It's interesting on the issue of genocide, on the issue of questions to Farooq Abdullah. You think that he is angered, frustrated, irritated. On the issue of current situation, you agree with Sushil Pandit. That's very interesting. Majid Hyderi, I have to wrap up the debate. Last comments.
Swati Sahib, the simple point is that the Pandits who were safe during Dr. Farooq Abdullah's successive regimes were killed during the BJP regime, and that is it. Thank you.
killed during the BJP regime and they were safe during Farooq Abdullah's regime.
Dr. Farooq's regime, yes. Makhanlal Bindru was all the way safe during Dr. Farooq's regime.
Sushil Pandit, you were so safe. You were so safe during Farooq Abdullah's regime. Why is everybody blaming Farooq Abdullah?
Yes. Now, earlier we had Farooq Abdullah to blame. The leader of these Kashmiri Pandits say we have the local Kashmiri Muslim society to blame. They are handing us over to butchers. Please look into that. Read what Mr. Sanjay Tikku has said in his appeal to those handful of Hindus left in the valley. Do some introspection. Don't run away. Don't run away from the facts.
And there was an opportunity to actually express that pain. That pain that Majid Hyderi you were talking about. Farooq Abdullah could have expressed that pain, but instead he chose to run away from the questions. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much.
The Newshour Special Edition.